This is Natalia Antonova.
This is Arutunyan, and today we're going to talk about death and power.
Yeah, this is going to be like one of those like fun type.
This is not going to be fun at all. No, this is going to be pretty sad.
This is
going to be horrible,
disturbing, and horrible. All sorts of things. Really, because we want to entertain you guys, and we want you to have as much fun as we're having, but we're just not having a good day today.
We're not having any fun at all.
I'm thinking of moving to Fiji. I think Anna said something about Tuscany.
This is just...
we may have to do this in order to preserve our sanity, and the reason this all started with an article in Большой Город magazine. Большой Город is like a nice, cool kind of. Is it a weekly magazine? Does it come out weekly?
Yeah, yes, if I'm not mistaken.
It's a cool local magazine, and the big story that I saw today that everyone's been kind of discussing. It's all over Facebook and Twitter. It's a story about how in Russia, in most pediatric intensive care units, the parents cannot visit their children at all. So if your child is actually dying, literally you're losing your child, you can get updates from the medical staff if you're lucky, and some nice doctors will occasionally say, okay, well, look, your child's dying, you have to go say bye, you have 5 minutes to go say bye, And after reading this article and reading the people's stories, the people who were profiled in this article, and after reading the decision made by the Moscow Health Department, which basically, the Moscow Department of Health, or the Ministry of Health, or how do you...
If it's Moscow, it's the Moscow Department of Health.
Yeah, they said, okay, hospitals have the right to restrict access because of, there's lots of viruses around, living standards are obviously still pretty low for a lot of people, which means lots of communicable diseases are a problem. And also just the pediatric intensive care units are also really cramped, there's not enough staff, so you can't have parents there, it's a liability issue. What if a parent comes in and they're sick and they infect the entire ward and, 30 people die and 30 kids,
I think sorry to interrupt, but I think the point here is that you do not question a doctor. A doctor is above questioning. He is an authority who answers directly to God or to the Tsar.
Because a doctor deals with death.
A doctor deals with death. And life,
occasionally.
Exactly. So you do not. This is part of this medical culture. I come across this again and again. If anybody's given birth in Russia, as I have and as Natalia has, you do not question the doctors. The doctors are the higher authority. This among the older population, I had to deal with this. I was talking to my mother-in-law. Her husband is in the hospital, and it's when you start questioning this, you start, well, was this the right? No. The doctor
has said
you do not even go there. You just that's it. Matters of life and death, they won't let you see your children.
But that's actually changing, and I wanted because my reaction to this article in Большой Город was just to hold my hand, scream, because that's I don't want to deal with this horrible stuff coming at me on Facebook and Twitter. I just wanted to be well, this is hopeless. But when I thought about it, it's actually not very hopeless because, Anna brought up this point about giving birth in Russia. Well, actually, that's actually changed nowadays. Because I gave birth last summer. I didn't pay anything, and my husband was there with me, which was something completely not possible for previous generations. And I think that you guys had the same deal, right? You had... something called партнерские роды,
but there's still limitations on it. It's changing. It's just gradual, and
it's changing. That's the thing. It's very gradual, and obviously, for me, giving birth for free. Women who give birth for free in Russia can only give birth with their husbands at special hospitals, and I was actually giving birth at a hospital where you had to pay for this. Now we couldn't afford it, but because we had a connection, all these things happen in Russia through connections. We had blood, as people call it, and because the person in charge of the maternity ward was actually my doctor there, she said, "Oh no, it's fine. Of course you can come. It's perfectly fine. It's normal. Because I had a connection." And the problem is, the issue is, how do we bring healthcare to the people and have it be fair and not have it depend on connections or money or something stupid like that, but just have it depend on the human right to get decent healthcare, And of course, as John McCain famously said, healthcare is a privilege and not a right, but I think he was full of crap. So.
Speaking of connections, this gradually brings us into the next little segment, which is also tied with health, but it's also tied with death, and it's also tied with power, and ultimately it is tied to the highest of the high, the highest connection you can possibly have in Russia, which is the connection of the Tsar. August 2008, Anastasia Doronina, mother of two, is driving. Suddenly, two teenagers on a motorcycle emerge out of nowhere. The woman fails to avoid a collision. The two teenagers die. Fast forward a few years. Vladimir Putin is making a regional visit. He is accosted by an elderly woman who forces her way through his security and screams at him, "They killed my children." Putin orders, as he often does, to sort things out.
Разобраться.
Разберитесь,
that's how.
December 2010, during Vladimir Putin's live call-in show, he says the following. On my orders, the Prosecutor General's office is dealing with this. I hope that this will go to court and there will be a conviction. This will go to court and there will be a conviction.
And there was no, this is just pre-trial,
This is preliminary investigation showed that Anastasia Doronina was not to blame. But after Putin's comments, she is sentenced to 4 years in a penal colony. She is told that they were just following orders. The officers in her case did not want to lose their jobs. They were ordered to sort it out and convict the guilty. Now, according to Moskovsky Komsomolets, which told this story, and I'm not getting into the specifics of it, this is a very typical story, this is why I want to share it with you. At the sentencing, the grandmother of one of the teenagers screams at the woman, "Murderer, you will never be released. I have reached Vladimir Putin himself."
That's scary. That's
terrifying.
It's disturbing. I mean, you feel for everyone. You feel for the grandmother, obviously.
Exactly.
You feel for this woman. You feel for the children who died. I mean, I even feel for Putin in all this, because imagine, you're just making a regional visit and someone's breaking through security, screaming, "They've killed my children." I mean, what do you feel in this moment?
You say sort it out.
You try to sort it out. I mean, it's just it's unbelievable.
What is going on here? I mean, we don't know the details, but I mean, why is this? What is the basis of all this? Is this unquestionable authority in matters of life and death, especially in matters of life and death?
Well, because we don't
turn to a higher force, and you do not question that. You relinquish all responsibility for matters of life and death because you're suddenly mortal, and you seek immortality, and you find it among the doctors and the czars, and this is horrible.
It's horrible. And as one of the commenters of this piece on Moskovsky Komsomolets said, and I really like this comment, this guy wrote, well, based on the logic of all this, you just have to, get rid of all the courts because they're not needed, and every single dispute just goes straight to the Kremlin. And it's like having, what is it, King Solomon,
King Solomon.
It's the same deal.
Yeah, and we hear about all the good things that Putin has done for people when he gets into things and he sorts stuff out and everything's fine, but then you get something like this, which is completely messed up because there is a higher bidding, because someone has stepped in from above and sorted it out, and given the orders to sort it out, and the authority is not questioned, just like the authority of a doctor.
And the laws don't work. I mean, that's the thing. There are laws in this country that are supposed to work, and they're not working. I mean, because you don't. A, because they're not really being enforced, and B, because the people think that they can go, scream and be heard, and this old woman
go to Vladimir Putin himself. And
that's the thing. I mean, I've actually been told this. I have a problem of some kind. And this is a serious answer that I've gotten. I have a problem of some kind. In Russia, whatever. I'm trying to deal with it, and people will say, "Well, why don't you petition Putin?" I mean, this is.
You've been told this before?
Yeah. In all serious. Well, not like it's a joke. Not like haha, go petition Putin, but as in, you need to
seriously.
You need to speak to the Prime Minister about this. The Prime Minister will be able to sort you out, and that's really.
And what do you tell these people?
I just want to have. I mean, I want to have a normal life, and I want Putin to have a normal life as well. I don't want Putin dealing with my crap. I want to sort my own crap out. It's if I have an issue, I shouldn't have to go to the czar.
We want to have the mechanisms to sort out our own crap.
So I guess we're just moving to Fiji.
I guess we're just moving to Fiji, where those mechanisms are already in place.
Are there? I don't know.
Maybe not in Fiji, but in in Tuscany.
In Tuscany.
My husband's in Tuscany right now.
You're lucky. Anyway, I think we're out of time as
I
well
think so.
now, so thank you.
Thank you.